You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Coming up, the Cherokee County Attorney's Office reviews a fatal shooting in Baxter Springs.
We've got a gorgeous end to our work week as the sun is about to warm us up very quickly. However, we do have weekend thunderstorms as well. We'll have the latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, we'll meet a dog who is being hailed as a Ukrainian hero. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. The Cherokee County Attorney's Office is now reviewing a fatal shooting in Baxter Springs from March. On Thursday, County Attorney Nathan Coleman met with agents from the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. They discussed the investigation into the deaths of 27-year-old Taylor Shute, 37-year-old Eli Crawford, and 2-year-old Cleslin Crawford. Shortly after 7 p.m. on March 26th, authorities received a 911 call for help from a woman. Officials said that Eli Crawford shot and killed Taylor Dawn Shute and went back inside with their 2-year-old child. After a nearly 3.5-hour standoff, they say an officer was able to fire back. Officers found Crawford and the child dead inside. A KBI investigation determined that the bullet that killed the 2-year-old was fired by a Joplin police officer. Coleman clarified to KOAM that this is still an open investigation pending his review. Police are searching for a suspect for attempted murder and other charges. Early Tuesday afternoon, a cyclist in Independence was injured by a car. When officers arrived, they found a 39-year-old man with serious injuries. Witnesses say the suspect vehicle left the scene and identified a driver with a small child with him. Police say 39-year-old Brian Metzger of Independence is suspected of attempted murder, aggravated battery, aggravated assault, and aggravated endangerment of a child. Authorities say they believe he knows the victim and it was a targeted attack. The victim was taken to the hospital. No word on his identity. A Jasper, Missouri man is dead after a motorcycle crash. 51-year-old Jason Lapari was riding a motorcycle on Highway NN 7 miles northeast of Avila, Missouri, Wednesday morning when he went off the road, then hit a ditch and utility pole. Lapari died at the scene. A Joplin police officer has received national recognition. On Thursday, Captain William Davis visited New York to attend the Roll Call for Heroes event held by First Responders Children Foundation. Captain Davis is being honored for his unusual selflessness and courage when he stopped the suspect from the March shooting that killed 2 fellow officers. The ceremony paid tribute to 6.5 million first responders across the country. Kansas is getting a suicide prevention and mental health crisis hotline, along with mobile crisis intervention teams to help respond to the calls. On Thursday, Governor Laura Kelly signed the bipartisan legislation creating both. Kelly said, quote, "There's no doubt having mobile crisis teams just a phone call away will save lives. The 988 hotline will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and will be within the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline Centers network." This was also a great day to go out to the youth rodeo in Vernon County. Ticket prices varied, but children 6 and under got in free of charge. The event started yesterday and lasts until Saturday. Begins at 8 p.m. and runs until 10:30 p.m. Activities include from steer wrestling, bull riding, and calf roping. All proceeds go to the Vernon County Fair. A youth transitional living facility in Joplin is the recipient of a new award. Head Start awarded Loving Grace the Head Start Hero Award. Loving Grace is a facility that provides an 18 to 21-month program for young women and their children. The facility's Stay Safe program provides housing, food, education, and a variety of other resources for their residents.
Giving them the tools that they have. When I was younger, I didn't have those tools as a young mom, and now they have the support they need. They don't always have family members. They don't always have someone to help them, and them coming here gives them a support like a family atmosphere.
Head Start Hero gives local recognition to partners for exceptional service to individual Head Start grantees and delegates. A pride of snow white lions are the latest acquisitions to a prominent zoo in Venezuela. This is an attempt to breathe new life to the zoo and boost number of visitors. After years of sustained deterioration due to the lack of sufficient funding, The zoo is now accumulating achievements in an effort to render its former splendor. As a part of this revival, the zoo welcomed rare white cubs, which have managed to attract thousands of visitors.
And Bronte, something that Tanya and I have talked about whenever we have a story like this, especially, do you have a favorite zoo animal? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
Oh, okay. I actually do, because, so I don't know if you remember this story, but I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we did on the morning show and I filled in again, and I did a zoo in Oklahoma. Or no, it was a safari. Do you remember this?
Yes, he said with confidence and conviction in his voice. Well, yes, he said.
Anywho, I went to a safari in Wyandotte, Oklahoma, and they had a lemur. And I think that was my favorite zoo animal.
That was your favorite?
I kind of almost got in trouble.
It's hard to beat.
Because, you know, the guy kept telling me to stay back, and I went up to film with my phone to get some footage, and it jumped at me at the cage. I mean, there was a cage, so we were fine, but I kind of had to step back and be like, okay, let me...
Oh, I can see the headline now. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky thrown out of Wyandotte Safari for getting too close to lemurs.
And we were never invited back again. I really hope they still want us to come back. I really enjoyed that experience.
That is a tremendous story. I absolutely love that. All right, Bronte, we're waiting for a bunch more 60s here on the board, which we will have here in the next hour or so. We've got Jay and Bella Vista that have now gotten up to 60, and now we're holding on to a handful of 59s as well. So it won't be too long, especially with the blue sky and not having to fight the cloud cover like what we did yesterday. 56 over 7th and Range Line and a Joplin Regional Airport. We see a little spotty green up here by Chinook, but I went and checked with some boots on the ground. So far, nobody's picked up any raindrops. This down here to the south, however, in Delaware County, that actually is just some light early morning showers. But this rain that we're seeing that's moving through Oklahoma, same track as yesterday, it'll kind of ride I-40 right there, stay away from us, and move into Arkansas. So it really won't be a bearing on our morning. What will be a bearing through the entire weekend are the amount of flood warnings that we still have for our rivers, because I know it may be tempting this time of year to want to get out and enjoy some time on the water, and I cannot blame you. However, with the Verdigris, Neosho, Osage, Little Osage, and Marmonton all still in the midst of flood warnings, let's back off and kind of stay off those until next weekend when those waters have a chance to recede. 80s by this afternoon. Humidity's not going to be a problem. Northerly breeze. Today's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Now, coming up here in just a little bit, we got to break down Saturday.
Right.
Because guess what's going to reemerge just in time for Saturday night into Sunday?
The rain.
Yes.
Darn. All right, well, we'll check back with you in a bit. Up next, we'll tell you more about how noise is affecting children while they're at school. And later, it's time for Galena Days. We'll have some special guests stop by to tell us more about it. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. In Health Watch this morning, how traffic noise can affect a child at school, and a popular over-the-counter supplement is sending more children to the hospital. Astrid Martinez has some of the day's top health stories.
New research shows more children are winding up in the hospital after taking the widely available sleep supplement melatonin. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report shows a 530% increase in pediatric melatonin ingestions reported to poison control over the last decade. The largest spike occurred during the pandemic. Placing graphic health warning labels on cigarette packages may cause smokers to hide their packs in public. University of California, San Diego researchers looked at more than 350 smokers and found people who had packs with the warnings were more likely to hide the packs from view. Research suggests this type of behavior, not flaunting smoking, could reduce teen perceptions that smoking is socially acceptable. And new research shows exposure to traffic noise at school can impact the child's working memory and attention. Researchers at Barcelona Institute for Global Health led the study that was conducted at nearly 40 schools. The study found no association between residential noise and cognitive development. Those are some of today's top health stories. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
Well, this is a paddle surf race with a difference. The seaside village of El Masnou, north of Barcelona, hosted a paddle surf race with dogs. Yeah, it's definitely not a walk in the park. Canine contenders must be properly trained by their owners and totally obedient. The dogs must patiently sit on the board while their human companions paddle on the surfboard along a course just under a mile. A dog's natural instinct would be to jump in the water, so the race demands they stay still and obedient.
Why are they not helping?
So, in some ways, it's similar to a regular obedience training session, but on the water. The slowest team took 20 minutes to complete the race, while it only took 10 minutes for Mark San Pedro and his dog Dana to reach the finish line.
So the dogs are very reminiscent of me in the back of a two-person kayak.
As in doing
well,
nothing?
I get caught like kind of watching four-state scenery. And every now and then the wise one would turn around and be like, "Do you want to help?" And I'd be like, "Oh, that's right.
Come on, Michael."
And then I'd wait till she turned back around, and then I just go back to taking in the scenery. It's just easier that way. That's why those dogs got it right. Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
That's why I'm kind of confused at the point. I guess it's more obedience for them to stay on, because I guess it would take more time to finish if they're jumping out into the water.
You know there had to be a dog that took off. That was like.
If I did this with my dog,
I'm out of here.
She would be gone. She'd be doing her own little thing. I'm not too sure if she can swim. She's a French bulldog and they're pretty sturdy, but that's the best way I can describe them.
I'm envisioning Bronte paddling now with a French bulldog who's just like, "No, Bronte, I want to be in the water."
That's probably what she would do. And I mean, I literally have no idea. So we actually have her a mini pool for her back home.
Oh, okay.
Like one of those inflatable ones.
Sure.
It's not inflatable though because she'd shoot through it. It's a plastic one. We also keep having to buy her new ones because she bites through them every few weeks. So
great. So Bronte on her paddleboard would actually have
she'd probably chew a hole
holes.
Yeah.
From where her bulldog.
So I don't think I could take her out, but I mean I know she enjoys water because she likes her little pool.
Folks, we're going to get a caught on camera of Bronte paddleboarding with her bulldog.
Yeah.
And we will make this a story, I promise you. Live look over 7th and Rangeline right now. 56 degrees is where we stand, waiting on a whole bunch of warmth, and it's going to happen here. I'm going to guess in the next half an hour, we're going to see a slew of 60s on the board. And I tell you what, even though you may want a light jacket for this morning, you are not going to need it for this afternoon as we approach the 80-degree mark. Now, we talked a little bit about the incoming rain. Let's break that down for Saturday. Saturday morning, we see a little bit that tries to skirt to the south of our highlighted counties. Not too impressive. It's really going to be Saturday night. That's when we see it pick up. Top left-hand corner of your screen, and as it rolls in from late Saturday night all the way through mid-Sunday morning. But then we're back into the 80s, so don't be surprised if Sunday's a little bit muggy. We're going to come back. Special in-studio guest, Ashley Groves, who we have not had in studio in a while, but she's here for Galena Days. And she's going to tell us more about the activities right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, we're talking about an event that actually started yesterday, but it goes on through today and tomorrow, and we're talking about Galena Days, right?
Yes.
So first off, thank you so much for being on our show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, I'd love to hear more about Galena Days. Kind of, walk me through, what are you guys doing during this event?
Yeah, so the main premise behind Galena Days is community. That's what we do. It's all about the community. And for many, many years, the Galena Volunteer Fire Department hosts it, and it's a fundraiser for them because they all are volunteer men and women. But above that, it's kind of a fundraiser for organizations, nonprofits, church groups, little sports teams, things like that. So it kind of encompasses everything. We have live music every night, lots of vendors, craft vendors, food galore. We have inflatables and bungee jumps and things like that for kids. Bingo goes all night, and then we end every night with prizes.
Awesome. So each day of Galena Days, is there something a little different each day that people can, look forward to depending on which day they go?
Yeah. So the live music is different every night, and then we do recognitions on stage too. So our stage MCs are Sheriff Dave Groves and then Jim Adams, who's with Frank Fletcher, and I think the whole four-state area knows Jim. And you never really know what you're going to get from them on stage. So like this evening, we'll do recognitions of youngest baby and the newest married couple and the oldest married couple, some things like that. So it's fun to recognize actual people in the crowd. And then our prizes are similar but a little different each night, and the list gets longer each night as we go. So yeah, we have some that are all the same, and then each night kind of brings along something new.
This seems like a very community-driven event. I mean, just based on, the things you're saying, like newest couple, things like that. Is this, how do you think this helps bring your community together and helps bring these people all together?
Yeah, I think it does. It's gone on for as long as I've been alive and way before that. And so it's one of those things nobody knows any different.
Right.
So people look forward to it. Sometimes class reunions are scheduled around this date. So people just know to schedule their life around Galena Days. So again, not only is it fundraisers for organizations or fire department or whatever, but it's just a time where you can come and hang out, and if you don't want to spend money, you don't have to, and if you want to spend a ton of money, you can do that too.
Okay, and it's also going on tonight too, right? Tonight
yes,
through
tonight, and then we have events all day tomorrow. So tomorrow starts with breakfast at our Masonic Lodge, another nonprofit civic organization. Car show goes all day tomorrow on Main Street. We have a parade at 4 o'clock. You can come join that. It's free. We do a cake cutting because it's our birthday celebration for Galena at 5, and then stuff just goes on after that.
Awesome. Well, this seems like a really awesome event. And then, are you ending on Sunday?
It's tomorrow night.
And it's tomorrow night.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
So we will have a queen coronation at 10 o'clock.
Oh.
Right after the band is done. Duke Mason is tomorrow night, by the way. I know he's a local fan favorite. And then we'll get right into prizes, and our grand prize will be our last prize, and it's $5,000 cash.
Wow.
So if anybody would like to get in on that, you don't have to be present to win the cash money tomorrow night. Everything else you do, but the $5,000 you don't. So if anybody wants tickets, they can call the fire station and we can get them hooked up.
Okay, is there anything else that people should know who are going to be coming out this weekend to this event or tonight?
I would just say come with an open mind. Come ready to relax. Come ready to enjoy people, because that's what it's going to be. There's people everywhere. So I hope everyone knows that they're welcome to come, and it's just going to be a good time.
Definitely. Well, I'm super excited. This seems super fun. Are there any other special events tonight maybe that people should be looking forward to? Outside of our stage recognitions, I look forward to all of it. Right.
So, I don't know anything specific, but there's going to be something all throughout the night. Bobby
Yes.
Degonia's playing tonight. He and his band are playing, and I know they've been very local for quite a while now. So they're a very good, high-quality band. More recognitions. We've got a lot of free stuff too. So we have drawings. If people don't want to buy a ticket or haven't had time to yet, they can get into some free drawings we have every night. So everybody has a chance to win something. You could possibly walk away with something.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like there's something for literally everyone
Yes.
going on at this, and it seems just like a great event for the community and for even people who aren't from Galena.
Right.
Should they come out too?
Absolutely, absolutely. We wouldn't know any different if you
Right.
weren't from Galena. So anybody is welcome to come. It's at our City Hall Fire Department complex, right on 7th Street. You can't really miss it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by and talk to us about this event today. Hopefully, people are going to see this and show up. And
Yes, absolutely. I hope so. And the weather looks great for
Yes.
tonight, so I'm really excited.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for dropping by studio
Thank you.
today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be right back. It's time to honor today's 4th-state hero, Corporal Tyler Elston. This native of Carl Junction, Missouri, began his service in January of 2007 as a part of the 6th Marine Regiment. This decorated veteran has earned the National Defense Medal as well as the Good Conduct Medal. To Corporal Tyler Elston, we thank you, today's 4th-state hero. He doesn't wear a cape or anything, but a 4-legged Ukraine pup is seen as a hero for the work he does on the front line. Mike Tobin has more on this.
Patron, Ukraine's pint-sized bomb-sniffing pup, draws huge crowds everywhere he goes. This time he was swarmed by adoring fans when he made a special appearance at a kids' event in the western city of Lviv.
Ukraine needs some symbol of positivity, and we are happy that he inspired kids, people, Ukrainians, and the whole world with his personality, braveness, and the job he is doing bomb sniffing.
The 2-year-old Jack Russell is thought of as a mascot by his demining team. He's seen as a symbol of hope and optimism in this war-torn country and around the world. Even Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has recognized Petron's important work. Zelensky called him a hero and awarded him a medal for his bravery in sniffing out mines and helping teach children about safety in landmined areas. Being a little fellow works to his advantage. Landmines are usually triggered by more than 10 pounds of pressure. Petron comes in just under that, which helps him do his job with less risk. He's not a full-time celebrity. Petron is already on his way back to northeastern Ukraine, where he lives and where he's getting back to work. In Kiev, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
Another half hour of news and weather just ahead, coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Connected Culture stops back by to tell us more about some family-friendly events you don't want to miss out on. And we'll see why the job market is the best it's been for teens wanting to get a job this summer. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Authorities in Oklahoma are revealing troubling new details in the deadly mass shooting at a hospital in Tulsa. They say the suspects stormed the complex targeting a doctor who operated on him. Reagan Ledbetter has the latest.
The deadly mass shooting on the St. Francis Hospital complex came just 2 weeks after the gunman, identified as Michael Lewis, went there for back surgery.
The performing physician was Dr. Preston Phillips. After release, Lewis called several times over several days, complaining of pain.
Tulsa police say Lewis returned to the hospital Wednesday, armed with an AR-15 style rifle he purchased that day, along with the handgun he purchased 3 days ago. Officers arrived on the scene within minutes of the first 911 call.
Shots fired, we see blood on the ground.
They located 4 victims on the second floor, including the doctor and the shooter, who took his own life.
He came in with the intent to kill Dr. Phillips and anyone who got in his way. He blamed Dr. Phillips for the ongoing pain following the surgery.
The massacre here in Tulsa happened a week after the deadly Texas school shooting, rattling people in the community.
This is the reality of our world right now. And today our world and our St. Francis family are devastated.
While it's human nature to want to turn our backs right now, to want to walk away, we can't do that. And we won't do that.
The other 3 victims in this shooting include a patient, a receptionist, and another doctor. The hospital CEO says the employees who lost their lives were the best people in the entire world. Reagan Ledbetter, CBS News, Tulsa.
There have been at least 20 mass shootings in the U.S. since the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. While the investigation continues into everything that happened in the Uvalde, Texas school shooting, we wanted to know what local districts are doing to keep staff and students safe. As more information is released from Uvalde, officials with the Neosho and Joplin school districts say they'll be reviewing their existing safety plans. Over the past several years, districts have added extra safety precautions, like secured entrances that require visitors to check in before they're allowed access to the school buildings. In addition, they work to ensure all doors are locked.
You concentrate on educating students and staff not to prop doors open, not to leave them open, things like that. And then it's the responsibility of administration to inspect those. We have a tremendous buildings and grounds crew that do a great job of doing that. But sometimes, a failure will happen before someone has a chance to look at it.
In addition, Neosho and Joplin both reviewed their safety and security policies on a regular basis. A part of downtown Minneapolis is now just a bit more colorful thanks to the unveiling of a new Prince mural. The work of art stands at 100 feet tall on a ramp. It's one of the largest in the Twin Cities. It took muralist Hiro Vega 2 weeks to paint it, but 7 years to prepare. He worked with the legend's family to bring it to life. The unveiling kicks off the return of Paisley Park's annual celebration. The next 4 days are filled with a host of activities, including concerts and celebrity panels.
I'm kind of amazed that it only took him 2 weeks to paint that.
Right, but he's been working on this.
Worked on it for 7 years. But I'm sure that went from conceptualization to had to find a building that would, that was what he had and the family had in mind.
Right.
But honestly, to paint that in 2 weeks, look at the intricacy of it.
I know. I'm honestly very impressed. And it's also just massive. Like, he did that all himself?
That's the iconic one there at the bottom. Like, that is iconic Prince.
No, this is awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Ron, who's running the controls of the show right now, we have him and I have a little affinity for the gentleman who could pick up any instrument known to man and just immediately play it.
Yeah.
Just so. Oh, okay. You want my favorite? You want my favorite Prince little piece of trivia?
Sure.
You know the song "Manic Monday" by the Bangles. It's just another Manic Monday.
Sorry.
You're awesome, Sorotsky. For those of you that know the song "Manic Monday" by the Bangles, that was written by Prince and then handed to them when he saw them play at an LA club.
Oh.
And he said, "Take this song, do not give me writing credits."
Wow.
Yeah. Would become a marvelous hit for them.
Yeah.
I'm going to play that song for you during the commercial break. So let's do the weather so I can play you that song.
Okay, sounds good.
Joplin says at 56 degrees right now. What a gorgeous look over 7th and Rangeline. We don't have the cloud cover like what we did yesterday. Now we've got Independence up to 60, and we've got Iola and Fort Scott hanging out at 58. So we're gonna put a handful of 60s on the board before the end of the show. Little cloud cover developing down to the south. That's a result of that system that's right now going to track across I-40. Really not going to interfere with any of our counties. What does interfere with us, especially for the weekend, if you have plans, the best thing to do is probably stay off any of our rivers that still have flood warnings right now. And that's going to be the Verdigris, the Neosho, the Osage, the Little Osage, and the Marmaton, especially if you're not familiar with how those rivers run and whatnot. Just not worth it. Future Track tries to feed us just a slight sliver of rain Saturday morning down to our south. This is really not going to amount to anything. What will amount to something is going to be Saturday night. Watch this system roll in from the northwest. As it does, it's going to bring us pockets of heavy rain. Not as substantial as certainly what we saw Tuesday and Wednesday, but we'll get pockets of it with thunder and lightning. And then Sunday afternoon, could be a little bit muggy into the 80s. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Earlier in the show, we talked about Emily Frankowski of Connected Culture, and E. Frank kind enough to join us for part number 2. Just a quick reminder that coming up on Saturday, June the 18th, we've got the one-man show with Joplin's own Lance Schaubert coming back from New York City here to the 4 states, and what he calls the one-man show of Bellhammers. That's going to be at 7 o'clock on Saturday, June the 18th at the Spiva Center for the Arts. And also, too, if you missed it, Emily was telling us about the Eternal Homes Tour, and you can catch the duration of that interview on KOAMNewsNow.com, but that also happens to be on Saturday, June the 18th. Emily, thank you, number one, for coming back. But before we get to the 18th, I was telling you earlier, as a proud parent, coming up here on June the 4th, Saturday, as a matter of fact, June the 4th, you've got a family fun painting class. This sounds like something that I can sink my teeth into, because it sounds like I can bring everybody out to get involved with this.
Yes, this is an all ages event. I believe that they suggest that, you're 8 years old or plus, and it's happening at Local Color Art Gallery and Studio, which is located in downtown Joplin. And this is a really fun opportunity, because usually, Local Color has fun, family fun painting classes all the time. But for this one specifically, it is geared towards Joplin's sesquicentennial, which means it's a fancy word for 150th birthday. So they're gearing up for that, and they will have a ton of imagery of historic places and buildings and houses in Joplin. And so what better inspiration for you to paint than one of those? And the artists at Local Color will help you every step of the way. Just fantastic local artists that are, they're there day in and day out, using the space as their studio, and also selling their artwork. So there's no one better to learn from.
And so once again, this is taking place Saturday, June the 4th. It's going to run from 10:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Emily, I'm going to put you on the spot here. When it comes to Connect to Culture, How important is it to you and your organization that you find events that encapsulate something that an entire family can do culturally?
Oh, it's so important because the creative process starts when you're younger. So we love to have families be able to share those experiences together. And oftentimes the arts and classes like this help, adults even kind of reawaken their creative side that maybe has been dormant for a little bit. So we love when we can find events that include the whole family.
Well, let's talk about something that kids love, but also too, like you said, even as adults, we have a chance to kind of open up our eyes and and think, oh yeah, I have a favorite child's book. Everybody has a favorite child's book, and you have this marvelous exhibit called Favorite Children's Book Reimagined, and it's put on. It's put on by Lori Marble. Many of you may be familiar with that name, but also too, maybe not from an artistic standpoint. This is Lori Marble using her artistry. So, how exactly is Lori reimagining our favorite children's books?
Yeah, well, what she's doing is that she has gone directly to the librarians at Joplin Public Library as well as the Post Art Library, and she's asked them what are their favorite books that have helped shape their childhood. And she has taken those books and she's using them as her inspiration to create abstract paintings for each one. And these paintings will be hung in the Bramlage and Wilcoxon Foundation Gallery inside the Joplin Public Library at kids' height. So that's really fun too.
That is such a marvelous idea.
Isn't it? Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. And she'll basically be asking people, what do they see in this? And then I'm hoping that they'll also have, a little story of what book that is this inspired by and what is the book about and things like that. I just can't wait to see it because Lori has such beautiful abstract paintings full of color and symbolism. So we've really been looking forward to this for a while.
And so, folks, that's your favorite children's books reimagined, abstract art put on by Lori Marble, wonderful four-state artist, and that's going to be at the Joplin Public Library. And that exhibit, and correct me if I'm wrong here, we're going to run this from, I think, June the 9th all the way to the end of August.
Yeah, so I think that this is an extended run, and so you'll have plenty of time to go and take your whole family to preview it. And then hopefully you'll be inspired enough that you might want to create your own abstract piece.
No, because I'm sure Lori's a lot more talented than I could ever dream of. I couldn't, I hope it inspires other people.
I'm sure she'd love to teach you.
That would be great. Emily Frankowski, she runs Connect to Culture in Joplin. Emily, I want to thank you so much for your time, and once again, thank your organization for everything that you do. You can also find a lot more information at connect2culture.org. That's where you can not only find a list of events, but also any tickets that you would like to buy. And you can find the entirety of everything that Emily talks about at KOAMnewsnow.com. Before we get out of here, E. Frank, one quick question for you. What's your favorite children's book?
Oh man, how did I know you were going to ask me this? I think that one of my favorite is The Piggy in the Puddle. Okay. If you've ever read that one, it's a good one.
I have.
I don't know what she would do with an abstract on that. Maybe a big mud puddle and some pigs and yellow rain jackets.
Knowing Lori, she would pull something off that's absolutely beautiful. I promise you that. Emily Frankowski, I want to thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming back on for part 2 as well. We always love having you on. And see you next month.
See you then.
All right, I'll see you next month, Emily. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
In Consumer Watch this morning, tell that lazy teenager at home to get a job this summer. That was really mean. According to a report from Drexel University, this summer is expected to be the best job market for teens in 15 years. 33% of 16 to 19-year-olds will be employed between June and August, the highest rate since 2007. The report says an hourly wage of $15 or more should help draw teens into the workforce. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at market prices before the opening bell.
There's a man in Baltimore that has brightened about 200 blocks of the city with strings of lights. did it to bring an added sense of safety and a sense of community. Mindy Basara introduces us to the light guy.
Chris Broughton is doing more than just changing a light bulb. He's maintaining a bright idea to improve safety in his Canton neighborhood by stringing lights from house to house along the block.
I'm on the safety committee for the Canton Community Association, and I offered for my block to be the guinea pig block. So I did my block starting in October of 2019, and then it just kind of snowballed from there and became my full-time job when I never intended it to.
Broughton operates Brawler LLC and is commonly known as the light guy. His work now shines in neighborhoods throughout the city.
My last count in Canton was 52 blocks, and I probably have close to 200 blocks between all of the neighborhoods and districts that I've installed in.
It's not as expensive as you might think. A block of 24 homes, for example, ends up costing about $85 per house, and some areas qualify for grants. The bulbs are plastic LED lights and are highly efficient. The added cost to an electric bill?
Less than 2 cents a night for a house's share.
Residents say it's well worth it.
It's really beautiful. I mean, it brings people together, especially when now the weather's nice and you got stoop nights and things like that. It's easier for people to come out and hang out.
It's really improved the security in the neighborhood, and it brightens the place up. Yeah, it's positive.
Although the initial focus was safety, the feeling of community these lights have created is an unintended bonus. Broughton feels good that he's doing his part, one rung, one bulb at a time.
I'm happy to help my city, my neighborhood, and my district. I guess I get a sense of pride out of that, making the city better, more attractive and appealing.
Now, one of the people who helped pay for the lights says he hopes more communities will now consider doing the same thing. As we as we transition to our temperatures, now we've got Iola, Fort Scott, and Pittsburgh all chiming in at 60 degrees along with Independence, who was the first one to get there. We knew it would be a quick warm-up because of the beautiful blue sky and all the sunshine that we have. And as we sit over 7th and Rangeline, Joplin right now chimes in at 56 degrees. We will keep all the rain down to our south. As a matter of fact, everything really breaking up as it departs Oklahoma and enters Arkansas. Not a whole lot of action there. And everything down to the south of the Red River, that will not be our problem. That's going to track I-20 and make its way into what we call the Arklatex region. Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, so we're going to stay on the clear side as far as that goes. Highs up into the high 70s. We'll see an 80 every now and then. But remember, the key factor for the weekend. So let's take a look at our 7-day forecast for the weekend. Then let's talk about when does the rain arrive. Well, we'll get through today and most of tomorrow unscathed. However, by the time we get into Saturday night, top left hand of your screen, big system works in from north central Kansas. And as it sweeps through, that's going to give us some thunder and lightning as well. But then we're right back into the 80s by Sunday afternoon. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. President Biden asked how much carnage the nation is willing to accept as he called on Congress to reinstate an assault weapons ban and introduce new red flag gun laws. The president's televised address to the nation came after recent large-scale mass shootings in Texas, New York, and Oklahoma. More deadly gunfire erupted Thursday evening, this time outside a church in Ames, Iowa. 2 people were reported killed. Authorities say the alleged shooter also died. And in Britain, festivities continue today as the nation celebrates Queen Elizabeth's 70 years on the throne. Buckingham Palace says the Queen greatly enjoyed the first day of the Jubilee, but is feeling some discomfort. As a result, she will not attend a church service at St. Paul's Cathedral.
All right, Bronte, let's get out of here on a beautiful note. As we turn the camera south down 7th and Rangeline, that is what you call a great June Friday. Cannot beat it, as our temperatures will eventually cruise into the high 70s, and we're going to stay dry. That's the key factor. Please remember, we've got multiple flood warnings, though, on rivers like the Verdigris, the Neosho, the Osage, Little Osage, and the Marmaton. And then Saturday night, that's when thunderstorms work in. But here's the nice thing about it. We should be able to dispatch of these by mid-Sunday morning, and then we're going to be right back into the 80s for Sunday and Monday.
So, well, Prince Louis steals the show on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. The 4-year-old covered his ears because of the noise during the flypast to honor his great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, on Thursday. The young royal observed as modern and historic Royal Air Force planes took over the skies for the trooping of the color of the military parade. Also on the balcony were Prince Charles, wife Camilla, Prince William, wife Kate, and Prince Louis's older siblings, Prince George and Princess Charlotte. The 4-day Platinum Jubilee celebrates the Queen's record-breaking 70 years on the British throne.
I think when I was watching this video, I loved it because Kate, Mom, was looking at Queen and enjoying her reaction, and then Kate, and all of a sudden Kate's like, "Get your fingers out of your mouth."
I know.
And
That's
then look at
great
her.
still.
Poor Louis is like this, and everybody else is like, "Oh, we're just having a good time." It's so awesome. It's such a great family get together right there. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.